Hey, welcome everybody. Welcome Crown Council members, and for everybody else that is able to tune in and listen to us. We are live today at the Crown Council office, and we have Dr. Brian Harris from Smile Virtual, and we are thrilled and grateful to have Dr. Brian Harris with us. And Brian, we just have a bunch jumping on right here that I'm just admitting in. And
you're fine.
So welcome to those that are jumping in right now. We've got Dr. Brian Harris live with us today, and we are thrilled to be doing this podcast live so that we can have live Q&A throughout this. For everyone that is just jumping on right now, we've just had more than a handful. Welcome to the live Q&A with Dr. Brian Harris. We are thrilled to have him and really grateful for each of you guys to be joining as well. Let me just walk through the content and the format of today. Being that it is live via Zoom, Brian has prepared a few slides to talk through what he is doing throughout these times and how what he is doing can also be implemented in your practices today. And we love Brian so much due to the fact that he's able to play both roles with us in the Crown Council. From one side, the business perspective of being a resource partner and understanding the business side of what we should present to practices. And at the same time, Dr. Harris is a practicing doctor just like you, and therefore understands both sides of the equation here. And that is why we're thrilled to have him today. So, Brian, thanks so much for joining us today.
No, of course. Thank you for having me. So the cool thing about the Crown Council and the docs listening right now is, we can have more of just like a real, like open conversation about what's happening and what's working, what's not. Sometimes I have to get on these webinars and it's more of like a pitch. It's more of like it's an hour-long conversation about like talking about the company or talking about the product, where my intention today is just to be as open with everybody as possible to share a little bit of insight into what's happening in the market so that people can walk away feeling like, okay, I know what to do now. And they can either go out and do it on their own or they can find some help to do that. So.
It's fantastic, Brian. Thanks for taking the time to do it. And I'm going to turn the time over to you with a question as we get going right now. We want to hear from Brian's perspective, who is really an expert in virtual in his virtual consultations. That is becoming a new norm for today, or many haven't adopted it yet, right, Brian? And it's like, I'm just barely getting the hang of talking to my team virtually for a weekly team meeting just to keep them together, let alone taking the step into talking to patients via virtual. We're excited to learn, like, not only the baby steps of kind of getting it underway but how we can apply it into our practices and so forth. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and then for everyone else, I'm going to unmute you after Brian kind of talks a little bit, and feel free to open up for Q&A throughout.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, it's easier for me. When you asked me to do this, I thought I need to at least share a few different slides. Just so we're all like speaking the same language. 3 weeks ago, teledentistry, virtual consults, like it wasn't a thing.
Yes,
most. I've been at it for about 3 years now, and one of the things I've learned along the way is there's a lot of things to learn about. There's a lot of things to learn about this. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. As we talk about it, like let's like first talk about it from this standpoint. This is much more about communication. This is much more about knowing how to get in front of people than it is about diagnosing, about treatment planning, about connecting virtually. Live connection like this to me is like super inefficient, and it's very difficult to communicate with people this way. So I want to share a few slides first, and then I'll kind of tell you my perspective on how you should be using this in your practice and how you can go and start it immediately. The biggest thing we need to recognize is that there is a problem, because it's hard to talk about the solution, don't talk about the problem first. But the problem is that we put up barriers for people, and Steve talks about this at TOPS and at Crown Council. There's people out there that are looking for a dentist they trust. They're looking for elective procedures. They're in pain, whatever it may be around dentistry. So they're out there experiencing things. They don't know who to trust, don't know what to do. They don't know what things cost. Yet we make it really difficult for them to do business with us, because in order for them to find that out, they have to take time off work, drive across town, get babysitters, come in, spend an hour in your chair, not even really know who you are, and until they get those questions answered. And, we put them through all that when we don't really have to nowadays with technology. You look at all the other companies out there, there's total transparency in just about any other business. But as dentists, we're still a little bit more closed off. So when we look at this, like from a more strategic standpoint, you look at, I'm going to call this a sales cycle in dentistry. All the money we spend with AdWords and SEO, everything we do, whether it's mailers, magazine ads, whatever marketing dollars you're spending now, you take those and you drive those to a phone call. Okay, so that lead initially goes to the phone call, which isn't the most efficient or effective way to do it, because you're going to lose people just in that alone. A lot of times the phones don't get answered. Whoever is answering the phone maybe isn't the best person at closing somebody or selling somebody on something. And so leads fall out of the system there. Then just the patient showing up sometimes is like a real chore. Kids get sick, people get called into work, people forget, cars don't start. So as you start to see in the cycle, if you look at it as a cycle and you looked at putting like 50 people through this cycle, you'd see that by the time you get to the end of it, there's very few people actually come in and actually see you. And even the offices that are doing this well, it's not a very efficient way to do it. So let's say they do show up in the office. Now we've got to go and connect with people. And that's difficult, in those first couple minutes. Then we talk options. We talk about different treatment options. We talk about money. And usually we do all of that without the spouse present. And that's usually one of the number one reasons that people don't move forward with treatment, or at least what they tell us is they got to go home and talk to their spouse. So I would say this is most dental offices. This is the flow. And it's just what we've always done. It's what we've always known. So there's nothing wrong with it. I just had a epiphany about 3 years ago when I started doing these. I looked at it. I looked at all the things I was learning at TOPS, all the things I was learning at Crown Council about connection and mirroring and meeting people where they're at and all these things. And then I looked at how we were doing it in the practice. I was like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit the model. It doesn't fit what we know to be true, and it doesn't fit what we're being taught. And so for elective dentistry, we're getting about 30% case acceptance, 3.5 years ago. And what I mean by that is, all on 4 cases, full smile design cases, the amount of people that came through and actually moved forward with treatment is really low. On general dentistry, it's about 60%. I know we all think, oh, mine's way higher than that. A lot of times it's not. And when you look at the unscheduled treatment list, it's just, there's people that took time to come see you that ended up not moving forward with treatment. As Steve always says, confused consumers do nothing. So these people just end up doing nothing. The good thing is, like, if you understand a more efficient way to do it, it can really clear up a lot of that confusion and help the problem. So I don't think new patients is a problem, although we all think that. There was a time in practice where I would count my new patients every month, and if it started to go down, I'd wonder why. Or, if I had a lot, I would equate that to a really good month. And when you think about it that way, and you think about those new patients now all going through that inefficient sales cycle, if there was a more efficient way, let's figure out how to make it more efficient. Let's figure out a way to just spend time with the people that we know are ready to move forward and that want to see us. Okay, so this is part of what I teach doctors to do, is just change that. There's a more effective way you can take those leads. If you send them through something virtual first, it allows you to connect with them. So most of the time doctors say, oh, now I got to get on, like this Zoom call. How many people on here now had trouble getting on? How many like little issues have we had even since it's been going? That piece of technology, doing something live, is really inefficient, and it's clunky, and it makes us uncomfortable, right? Because it's not how we're used to communicating. But if you could record something and send it, if you could actually control the sales process and control what you say, when you say it, how you say it, and if you mess up, you can go back and re-record again, not from a place of being like doctor and robotic, but from a place of just like, hey, here's who I am, here's what we do, we'd love to see you, here's some options, and here's what our fees are. I think what it changes is now, imagine what it would be like walking in to every consult knowing that the people that were there already got an intro video from you to them personally. They already knew what your fees were. They already knew what you recommended. Just the fact that they're in the chair, it's 90% success rate on high dollar cases. Okay, so a couple more slides, and then we'll open it up, and I'll come back to this because this is a key part of why this works so well. So when it's recorded and delivered, now the patient watches it, and they have 2 call to actions on the bottom. 1, schedule, or 2, any additional questions, and those things connect to our treatment coordinators so that people can get scheduled and come into the office to see us. So I think right now we are in competition for people's time now more than ever. And you think we have time right now. We all have time. We just can't see people. We can't see patients. Come 3 weeks from now, we all get back to seeing patients. People aren't going to have the time. They don't have the luxury of taking time off work. So that's what we're in competition for. It's not the money, it's the time. So when you make it really fast and easy for the patient to just say, hey, here's who I am. Here's a full face and a close-up smile. Here's what I'm concerned about or what I want to fix. And you have their email and phone number, all their contact information. That's before they ever come in to see you in the office. That's like every marketer's dream to have that kind of data. Yeah. And then the doctor can sit down, look at it and say, okay, give some recommendations, click a few different cases to share with them that are similar to theirs, and record something and send it. Now the patient sends in information when they have time, the doctor records and sends when they have time. So it's like the most efficient way to communicate and break down all those barriers of communication. Yeah. Okay. So what I'll do, this is a website, because we're not going to be able to get it all in today, but there's about a 45-minute deeper presentation if you go to savemydentalpractice.com. And this is purely an educational site where you can go and learn more about why things are so broken and how you can fix it, and how virtual consults are the key, and how there's different type of virtual consults. So figuring out which one makes sense for you in your practice, which platform to use, I think is key. So with that being said, I can stop my share and go back to, we can go more conversational now if you'd like. You cool with that?
Yeah. So everybody knows, everyone has been unmuted at this point. Brian, thanks for that introduction to where we are today and where the opportunities are. Let's open it up for some Q&A and anyone that is not, feel free to mute just on your own. Take it away, everybody.
You got something for me to say?
Now's your chance.
Do you have anything to go? All right, I'll be.
So as questions are coming up, let me talk about a couple things, because I think this is crucial. I think so. Usually these are the concerns that come up. Well, I don't have the time to do this, right? Because now I'm going to Now I got to spend 5 minutes and record a video and send it. What if the patient never comes in? When am I going to find time to do that? And it's really interesting when you learn that this is way more about connection than it is communication. Imagine a lead coming in. So imagine somebody's out there looking for a dentist. They don't know who to see. Or let's even take it a step further. Let's say they are looking for an all-on-4, or they're looking for Invisalign or porcelain veneers. And they're going to go and see 3 different people. They're going to go, and most people are going to put them through the old sales cycle. They'll come in, they won't have any relationship with the doctor. They'll be meeting them for the first time. The doctor will look in the mouth, sit them up, give recommendations, sometimes go over photos, give treatment plans, send them home, and they're going to have to go and communicate that with their spouse. So if you compare that now to somebody that is interested, you get their lead. Now you being able to sit down for 5 minutes and say, hey, I just wanted to reach out. I know this is like a kind of a unique way to connect with somebody, but I want you to know, like, we do things differently here. And so my goal in the next 5 minutes is to be transparent, kind of tell you all these things that you want to know. And then you can decide if it's a good fit for you. And when you are ready, we'd love to work with you. And then you go through, like, I know you're talking about the spaces between the 4 front teeth. There's about 3 different options that we can do. And this is roughly what they cost. The goal is find something that works for you and your budget. And because there's no back and forth, you can control that process and send it. But the great thing is, let's say they don't move forward. Because the reality is, it's about 50% of the people that you send it to that won't come in right now. But they do come in later. And even the ones that don't, you're talking about being able to spread your brand. Taking that 5 minutes is the ultimate trust builder. So when they do come in, you don't waste an hour with somebody and realize they're not ready to move forward. When they do come in, they're ready, but also they can watch us at home with their spouse. Even if they don't come in, we have one patient that's referred in 3 different smile design cases. She's never come in as a patient yet, but because she got my video, she shared it with other people when they ask her about things. And so it's a way for you to expand your brand and grow really quickly without having to, spend marketing dollars to do it, if that makes sense.
That's so cool. That's so cool. Brian, if someone is watching today and is like, I got to do this, I got to get started, is the best way on your final slide where you have the kind of get to know everything, the 45-minute presentation, the best thing to watch?
Yeah, it is. And I'll go over some of it right now too, because I believe in transparency. I believe, like, it's best for people to know right now, so they don't have to go if they don't want to and watch all that stuff. But that's a much more in-depth presentation. But this is the layout of the market right now. You have the Zooms, the Skypes, the FaceTimes, like the live consult platforms. There's a ton of them out there. The cool thing is a lot of those are free. And so if you are in a bad place financially, or if you are just like, hey, I don't want to take any other risks, I just want to be able to offer this, start there.
Right.
Somebody answering the phone at your office. And if there's a concern, send them, or schedule whoever's answering your phones can schedule them with you. You pop on and spend 5 to 10 minutes. The great thing is you don't have to go into the office. You don't have to go through all that. You can still give them advice. You can still charge them for that advice. And it's the easiest way to just get started.
Right.
The downside is it's clunky. You got to visit face-to-face like this. And when you get back to seeing patients, imagine between hygiene exams and patients having to run in and talk to somebody for a minute and realize they're not a good candidate, but you still have to talk because you can't be a jerk. That's like every dentist's nightmare, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So and that's what's called synchronous. Okay. That synchronous communication. Asynchronous is more somebody typing in, I have a concern, sending it, and then the dentist's office responding back of, hey, here's what you could do. We'd love to see you. Or here's what you could do. Here's roughly what it would cost. We'd love to see you. That's great. There's about 20 platforms out there like that. They're all going to range from about $150 a month to about $300 a month. And the great thing about that is it's better than nothing. It's better than doing it live. It's still confusing from the standpoint of, it's a logical exchange, right? And you can't really connect with the patient. but it's something that you can put on your website saying you offer them, and it's more likely that people will reach out to you because it's easy and it
Yeah.
saves time. So the third time, so that's called asynchronous. The reason Smile Virtual is so different is it's kind of best of both worlds. It's asynchronous, meaning it's a recorded video and send it, but instead of it being just logical information, our whole platform's based around more like emotional sales process, meaning not tactics, not strategy, but just like real one-on-one conversations, serving people at the highest level possible for 5 minutes, letting them know what's possible, letting them see who you are. But there's certain things to say, there's ways to say it, there's how to say it. There's a process that really works. And there's 350 docs using the platform now that are learning this process of communicating with people. And I've got some messages just recently that I got in the last couple of days. I can read them later if nobody has questions. But
Brian, here's a question for you. You record the case and the presentation, and you send it out to the patient, and that part is perfect. They listen to it, they watch it, but now they want to talk face to face like you and I are talking now. And that's where you recommend whether they were to use Zoom or FaceTime or anything is an option.
it is an option, but at the end of the day, this is the biggest issue. Telemedicine, doctors get paid all day long to give advice, write scripts. Like that's what they do. That's how they make money, right? In medicine, they don't go into the room and somebody's sick and they're like, okay, we're going to do an appendectomy. They don't do procedures like we do. So they literally get paid to give advice. That's why they can sit at home and just be on a telemedicine platform, get paid all day long.
Uh-huh.
In our profession, the only thing that we can get paid for is an emergency. And the only thing we can do is say, oh, it looks like you may have some swelling or may need a root canal. Like, I'm going to write you a script for some antibiotics, but you got to come in to see me. So I never waste my time with live stuff. I would much rather give people my time, and then when they're ready, they can come in to see me.
Yeah.
And so it's because that's where we make our money. That's where we operate our businesses and procedures. The difference, though, is when they do come in to see you, they're ready. They're bought in. Yeah. Because there's already a relationship there. You've taken the time to connect with them. You've done something that nobody else will do for them. And even if your fees are higher, the perceived value is higher with what they're getting, right?
It is.
Because there's two ways to compete on price. You have two docs in the same town. They're both doing crowns. Whether this one's doing steric, this one's doing Emax, or whatever it is, they're just crowns to the patient. And so a $1,500 crown and a $1,200 crown, similar offices, like patients will always go for the $1,200 crown. If you got two doctors practicing in the same city, and this one's experience is the old sales cycle, jump through all the hoops, go through, get the big treatment plans. And this one over here is, hey, before you even come in, like, let me tell you who I am. Let me show you a little about who we are as a practice, why we're different, and why we believe in total transparency. And I'm going to talk to you about what it is that you want to know. And then when you're ready, if you want to work with us, we'd love to work with you. You can charge $1,800 for a crown over here, and it could still be a crown, but people will pay more because the perceived value is higher in what they're getting. So you can either compete on price or you just raise the value. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, value was Otis Spunmeyer cookies. It was hot towels. It was flat screens on the walls. It was all the, it's all the stuff that we all did back then to have a cool practice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But it's just different now. Now everybody does that, so it's not cool anymore. Now it's almost weird. If they see something like, they're like, whoa, that's odd. I just came to you to work on my teeth. Well, now it's all about value.
Yeah.
It's all about, like, how can you save me time? How can you be totally transparent? How can you build a relationship and have it be more about what I want as a patient and less about what you just tell me to do as a dentist?
Perfect.
I think
it makes perfect sense. And I think by providing this new normal via virtual opportunities to still communicate is what is the new value, as Brian has mentioned. Let's open it up for some more questions from anyone based on what Brian has.
I see Jerry on here. Jerry, you always have questions. You got to have a question.
I would like, can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going,
Oh,
man?
great. I didn't know if I was, yes, so I would like to see how it actually works and like to go through. That may not be part of what you're doing, but I've been kind of following your concept for a while, but obviously haven't jumped in.
Yeah,
So
no, I can show you. I purposely didn't do it on here just because I didn't want it to come across like selling people, like, because it's not really a time to sell. But I mean, I think that, so this is a great example, perfect example, Jerry, because this is what our patients want to know. So like the docs on here right now, there's some desire like, hey, is this for me? Is this what I want to do? And can I trust this guy to help me? And what's it even going to cost to do this? Does it make sense to do this for my practice right now? So if I were to right now say, hey, Jerry, yes, let's schedule a Zoom call for next week or 2 weeks from now, I'll get on. You can see how inefficient that is and how it goes against everything that we want as humans right now. Well, that's what's happening in dentistry. So if I dodge the question right now, and if I don't go and show Jerry what it's all about, you know, I'm not following like the same principles that I teach and believe in. So yes, I will show you, Jerry, and I'll walk you through it because I think at the end of the day, if it's what people want to know, you got to show them, right? So bear with me because I don't have a presentation for this, but I will, if you're cool with this, Spencer, are you cool with me?
Yeah, if you have a quicker version, and here's actually also a question from Scott.
I do have a quicker version.
Do you have any follow-up campaigns that can be sent out, and are they automated?
Yes, let me pull this up. This will be easier here. Sorry, I'm just trying to pull it up on my side. Okay, here we go.
And Brian, while you're pulling that up, I don't know if you're pulling up Scott's question or Jerry's information, but so you know.
Oh no, I'm pulling up. I'll do both right now.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just
Cool.
getting this out of the way, and I'll go quick on this because I don't want to. Okay. So Jerry first. So right now, all of the follow-up, all of it is done inside the platform. There's ways to track like who's been followed up with, what's been sent, how it's been sent. And as far as the automated follow-up goes, that is in the works right now. So we're on version 3 of the software right now on a full new build out with some really cool features that come with that. But as far as the automated piece goes, no, there's no automatic follow-up right now in the software. But there is a very streamlined process to do that. We give you all the emails. We give you everything that's needed to do that. But that is something that still takes some hand-holding right now. So kind of like, kind of like paper trackers at TOPS versus like an online tracker. There's benefits to both, but the automation is going to be key. So Jerry, I'll answer Jerry's real quick and then I'll go back. Jerry, the biggest difference in the platform is you've got all these points of entry. So you have the social media link that we give you that dumps right into the back end of the software. You have the widget on the website that does the same thing. You also have the Smile Virtual patient-facing site. It's one of the things we've got a patient-facing side of the platform. But all these things funnel into the actual software itself. So when the doctor goes through that, or the patient goes through it, they upload a photo, they tell us what they want to change. It's all branded with your logo, so nothing says Smile Virtual. It all looks like it's your own custom platform. Smile Virtual is just the software behind the scenes that does the work for you. And so it's super easy for the patient. They go through that process. When the doctor logs in, now you have your whole dashboard where you can go in, see the patient, get all their information, look at the photos, and then you go through and choose what it is that you want to share with them. And when you're done, you then type in recommendations and costs. And as soon as you hit confirm recommendations, that's when you have the option to record. So it starts to record, but it's not just you talking. It's you talking in the corner. and it's you going through a presentation and pointing to certain things and talking them and walking them through things. But it's also slides in here that are specifically put in there to help guide you in the things to say and help guide you on the more the emotional journey of things. That's when the patient gets it. This piece then is it's automated into your Dentrix or EagleSoft if you have the capability set up to do that, or it goes directly to your treatment coordinator, either way. So, I mean, that's the software itself. You got to actually be in the software and look around to see that. But because we are truly the only fully HIPAA compliant platform, what that means is, like, if Jerry were to be on Smile Virtual and he were to get a virtual consult request, even though I own the software, I can't even go in and see who the patient was. I can't see any of that data. That belongs to Jerry, and it's stored in a vault in the cloud. And so because of that, if I walk you through, the only platform I can walk you through is mine. And if I open it, then you're going to see all my patients' names and things like that. So hopefully that makes sense. But it's streamlined in a way. I mean, the whole purpose is to set it up in a way that's really easy for the doctor to do. The one thing that we want them to do is to control that communication process. For docs that just want to say, hey, I offer virtual consults and exchange information, I would say it's not the best platform for you. There's others out there that'll probably save you $100 a month that you can get, and that'll just allow a team member to exchange back and forth. What I've seen after doing this for 3 years and recording 4,000 of these now, it's way more about the connection and communication and the process than it is the recording of the consult.
See, the skeptic in me, can you still hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Okay, so the skeptic in me is saying, well, now I'm going to take this and shop it with 3 other dentists and say, hey, this guy Jerry wants to charge me blah, blah, $1,000. And, what do you think? And the other guy's going to say, oh, we could do that for half the price. And,
Yeah. So the cool thing is, I feel you. The cool thing is, once you've submitted a virtual consult, like if somebody submits one to you, and let's say they went and they're going to submit one to me, or to, let's say, Wissam, who's over in New Jersey, they can't actually submit another consult to the Smile Virtual platform because it recognizes the email and it will tell them they've already submitted something. Now, what they can do is they can go and create email accounts for all these different people and submit them. But I just, it's just not an issue. I mean, we
that isn't what I meant. What I meant was they go to the dentist down the street and they say, or their dentist they're currently seeing, and they say, so this is what the guy says he could do for me. How much would you charge to do it?
Okay, good. Okay, Jerry, so here's the deal. That is, if the consult was all about logic, if it was all just about giving them prices, then yeah, they're going to go shop. If they don't see any perceived value there, if they don't see any connection, then it will come down to who's the lowest priced. But the difference for you, Jerry, because I know you, and I know this is, it'll take some time for you to get there mentally of like believing in the concept, but you, with who you are, getting in front of people and just taking 5 minutes saying, listen, like, here's who we are. Here's what we've built over the years in the practice. This is what makes us different. This is why we're one of the busiest practices in the area, is because we do things differently. And our main focus is always you, being transparent with you, helping you get what you want. And so that's why I'm recording this right now. So you can at least like see who I am. You can introduce all the other doctors on your team too, like just in a slide, but it's, hey, this is what we do. And here's what our fees are. And Jerry, this, there's something about fees that if the value is perceived to be higher, some people want to pay more to get the higher perceived value. It's like getting a steak from Outback or Mastro's. Some people they could save money at Mastro's, but they know they're going to get a better steak over here. So they could save money at Outback, but they're going to get a better steak over here at Mastro's. But if the steak at Mastro's is the exact same crap that they serve at Outback, then yeah, you can't justify the higher fees. So it's almost like there's something you have to do to provide proof and value that your product is better than somebody's down the street. What I'm saying is this is the number one way right now to do that, because what other way are you going to do it? What other ways can you provide value? Now, there's still things that you can do, handwritten notes. I mean, there's a list of things, but in the world we live in now, what people want is transparency, and people want to do business with people. You look at Uber Eats, you look at Postmates, you look at all these companies that everyone's using now because it's like people doing business with people. It's transparency and fees. It's all those things. So it's a different mindset.
Thanks, Brian. I don't have an additional question that has any others that have popped up here. Anything else from those that are on to ask Brian before what we will do? This has been recorded and will be shared and sent out. Additionally, Brian is open for Q&A hereafter, as we will provide, and everybody has his contact information through the Crown Council.
So one more, if these questions are out of place, we could talk offline later. But so it's a subscription system where you're paying so much to join and so much a month, and how does that work? And
yeah, it is. It's a subscription process. I mean, it's a SaaS software, so you pay monthly for the fee. What that gets you is it gets you all your data protected and fully HIPAA compliant. It gets you access to the community. So there's 350 of us now on it, where we do monthly calls. There's a lot of masterminding and training that's happening there. It gets you access to my team. We've got 6 full-time employees now that are here that are here to answer questions, give advice, help with, the consult's like, the software is like such a small piece of it. The whole other side is like all of the how to build your brand on social media, how to build and create yourself as an expert in your area. And then all on the other side of it, like getting better treatment conversion once they're in the chair. You have access to all the treatment presentation forms that we use. Doctors get access to, there's an online 6-module series that can train your team on the importance of this stuff. And I mean, the list goes on and on. That's the biggest difference. Is every other platform out there right now is it's a tool to record. It really is more of a methodology from how you attract them, how you do the virtual consult, how you get them 100% to close once they're in the office, and then how you then take them, you get them to post on social media and tag you and record a testimony for you so you can go and repost that, and it like starts the whole cycle all over again. So this is kind of a great example. I'll share this because he's part of the Crown Council. Charlie Cooper, right? I mean, they're Atlanta Center for Cosmetic Dentistry. They're one of like the top cosmetic offices in the nation. They always have been. And Deborah was kind of dragging her feet for a little bit, and Charlie was too, because Charlie's like, Ryan, like we already see all the rappers. We see like all the people already are coming in to see us. And so they waited a year. And so recently Charlie's like, fine, we'll give it a try. So no joke, after 1 week, he's like, holy cow, Brian, I can't pull up the text right now, but he's like 30 consults in 1 week alone, all Smile Design cases. He's like, so we're closing at a way higher percentage now because now they can leverage their time and connect with all these people. So now he can do 30 consults. Let's say only 15 of them move forward. But now it's 15 people that once they're in the office, they're 100% bought in. So it's 15. So it's almost 100% close rate on every consult that comes through because they've already seen you. You've already connected with them. And they're just getting started. This is without even really coaching and training on the best ways to connect, the best ways to convert, all those things. So it definitely, there's like the bleeding edge, and then there's like cutting edge, and then it's the new normal. We're kind of in like the cutting edge phase right now. The bleeding edge was me the last 2 years of like trial and error, figuring out what works, spending a lot of money doing that. Now it's more like, hey, this is for the early adopters. This is for those that want to be a step ahead. And then the next stage is like the new normal, which the benefit of waiting for that is then you get through different iterations of the software. Everything's are really dialed in. You get the full automated follow-up system, all that stuff. But now is more for those that want to be cutting edge, want to get in early on something.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Jerry.
So what would be my next step if I wanted, because I've known about this a little bit off and on for a while.
Yeah, Jerry, so there's two ways to do it. So you can go to, here, I'll just pull up the slides. This is easier. So Jerry, if you go, so there's two ways. If you go to savemydentalpractice.com, that's the 3 video series. Like if you're like, hey, I need to connect the dots more and like really figure this out, that's more a 3 video series on all of virtual consults in general. That's where I go over all the different softwares that are out there, kind of talk about the differences. This is more for like those that are on the fence or those that are just looking for a solution but may not want to work with Smile Virtual, and that's totally fine. The other option though is if you go to Smile Virtual Dentist, this is going to give you all the pricing right there on that front page. It's going to give you exactly what it costs monthly. It's going to give you all the different things that are included in that. Right now, because of all the COVID stuff, we've waived the setup fee, which is normally $29.97, so just under $3,000, and that's what comes with all the social media guides, the before and after cases, like all this stuff. You'll see it on there. We basically said, hey, if we have doctors signing up, I have no interest at this point. I have no interest in having people sign up and not use it or not be successful with it. And so if they're going to sign up, I'd much rather them have things in the starter kit to go and use it and actually be successful. I mean, that's more what we're in the game in now, is just creating this community of like-minded dentists that do things differently, that see things differently. So those are the two best options, Jerry.
So you're saying you're waiving the $3,000 for what?
That's the setup fee and the starter kit of all the ancillary stuff that comes with the software. Some before and after cases, 72-page social media guide on how to like really set up your social media right. It comes with, you'll go on there, you'll see there's a whole list of stuff.
Okay. So then you're just paying per month.
Yep. Then it's just monthly fee.
Okay. All right. Well, I certainly have the time to look into it some more. And I know you're a good guy and a smart guy.
Hey,
so
Jerry,
I'm looking forward to checking it out.
Next year I'll use you as the example who was dragging your feet for 2 years and you could be.
All right. So do I get a little bonus on the?
It depends.
Yeah.
I knew that question was coming next, so we'll talk about that.
I'm just kidding.
I know you are.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm glad we caught up. How are you doing? You're good? Family's good?
I'm doing good, man. Everybody's really good. Yeah. Thank
Good for
you.
you. Good for you. Well, take care. Thanks again for your time this morning. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Take care, guys.
Thanks again, Brian. For everybody else, we've recorded this from start to finish. We're going to upload it, share it on the Crown Council network, and Brian's contact information is also always there and always available. Brian, thanks so much for your time today and for joining us, and we look forward to having you again next time.
Of course, can I say one last thing?
Yeah, of course.
This is something I've realized just in the last 3 weeks of all of this happening, because it's new for all of us, and it's a little bit scary and it's a little bit like unnerving of what things are going to look like. But what I've realized, and I have to thank the Crown Council for this, and I have to thank Steve for this, but all the principles that I've learned the last 15 years of how to connect, how to communicate, like how to do these things and set yourself apart as a business. I told Steve the other day, I said, Steve, it's like taking everything that you've taught me, but now teaching doctors how to apply it virtually and how to connect virtually. And so I have to thank Crown Council for that. And you doctors that are listening, you get it, but it's just those principles. And when when you put people first and when you make it more about serving people and just giving them that gift of your time, it's amazing what it will do to your schedule, amazing what it will do to your reputation and the success of your practice. So if there's a time to do it, regardless of what platform you use, truly do it. Like, start to do things differently. Don't just wait for the storm to pass. Like, actually take action, make changes, and you will see success because it's what the people want.
Yeah. Thanks for that shout out, Brian. We appreciate you as well, and you're a strong partner. Thanks to everybody. Watch for this on the email network. Thanks for joining us today. And again, Brian, we wish everything well for you and your family and during these times. Appreciate you and your time.
Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, have a good one.
Thank you, Brian.
Of course. Thank you.